Right, today is not a great day for Remainers or Remoaners, because I'm not necessarily talking about people who voted to remain. I'm talking about the people who did vote to remain, but spent the last 4 years refusing to give up, refusing to accept the referendum result. They've been going around trying to find ways to undermine the democratic vote, and recently they've been ranting about the Russia reports because they knew, somehow they knew, that Putin and the Brexit campaign worked together. Well, today, the Russia report was released, and as you can see, the Telegraph reported that Russia did try to meddle, but in the Scottish referendum, and did not target the Brexit referendum. We're going to talk about the details of the report in this video, but also the reaction, the meltdown of the Remoaners. First, let's go to The Guardian, because one of the Guardian journalists at the press conference earlier today asked whether Aaron Banks worked with Putin, whether Brexit was a big deal. Let's listen to the actual answer that they received.
I wonder if I could clarify whether the committee looked at interactions between Leave EU and Aaron Banks and the Russian ambassador in London, Alexander Yakovenko, in the months before the EU referendum in late 2015 and late 2016. Is this something you looked at? Because he says that he's exonerated by your report.
All I can say is that the only reference to it is, I think, on page 50. Sorry, is footnote 50 on page 13 in the report.
Barely a footnote. Barely a footnote. But you know, they don't give up, because these are the reactions we had after the report was released. Alistair Campbell said, "Russia and China laughing at a country that has chosen its own decline and whose government has conspired to make it happen. Europe looking on bemused." Really? America indifferent. Because of the current government, it is America first and last. I'm pretty sure Donald Trump has never said first and last. He said America first, but not last. It's a whole difference, by the way. So this is the reaction we have from this guy, but it gets better and better. So Jolyon Moam, our favorite lawyer, says, "I guess a country whose economic model is to become a butler class to the world's worst people isn't heavily incentivized to know too much about what the Russians are up to." We literally released a report. It said that Russia have been trying to meddle, whether it was with the Corbyn election or the Scottish independence referendum, but not Brexit, guys, not Brexit. Nobody worked with Russia, whether it was Nigel Farage, Aaron Banks, Dominic Cummings. We have the facts. They don't care, because again, we have Jessica Simon saying those on the left who supported Brexit were foolish, to put it mildly. I mean, they spent the last 4 years calling Brexit voters stupid. We called them out. We said, stop doing this. It doesn't really help your cause. People like Jessica, they keep repeating and repeating. And she's a QC. It's interesting. I always say on this channel, those of you who watch me regularly, some of the most stupid people, in fact, are the educated ones, the academics, the so-called intellectuals. No, not really Jessica, but still counts. Carol Cadwalder, so as I call her, Carol Baskin. Carol Baskin of Brexit. She said, in response to Financial Times, saying that just before obviously they leaked some of the headlines before the full report was released. So Financial Times reported that Russia interfered in the Scottish independence referendum. Carol said, "Oh, come on, FD, wait for the report to come out, rather than reporting on the Telegraph's spin. There are so few news organizations capable of reporting on this properly. Why use a number 10 spin doctor's framing rather than waiting an hour?" So she believes that, you know, you should not speculate before something has fully come out. The same Carol Baskin, who in the morning before the report was released, she had her own speculations. She said, "I have a meeting at 10:30, but I expect Aaron Banks to be totally vindicated. I will be a Remoaner conspiracist whose theories are in tatters, and Scotland will be in for a bashing." Well, I mean, she got most of it right. Scotland did not get a bashing. It was the SNP. The SNP is not Scotland. And yes, you are a conspiracy theorist whose theories are in tatters. But the hypocrisy of her going after FD and then doing the same thing. And then she reported at her 30, when it came out, that it's a cross-party report, national security, not politics, suddenly the report is not political anymore. Suddenly she cares about, actual national security. So they've been trying to spin the whole thing. And then at the end she says, if Tom Harwood or Darren Grimes get asked to discuss, I swear I will... Everything seems to be going well for Remoaners. They're definitely not having a bad day or a meltdown. So Carol Baskin, these are her tweets. And then going back to obviously what's actually happened. So Westminster, the website, reported that Russia report barely mentions Brexit. And that's true, because we have Michael Heaver from the Westminster website actually saying this earlier today.
Well, there you have it. The Russia report that the conspiracy theorists were clinging on to. In reality, it's a complete damp squib. Because what it shows is that this whole conspiracy theory around the Brexit referendum and 17.4 million Brits going out and voting to leave the EU, supposedly because of Russia, is a load of old rubbish. What this report does look at is the influence of oligarchs. It looks at Russian money in PR firms, in academia, and things like that. But Arron Banks, barely a footnote. The word Brexit only mentioned twice. And isn't it interesting to look at how rabid that media coverage was at times since 2016? Channel 4 News running the Banks files at one stage. Newsnight completely losing the plot. And so it goes deeper.
Well, Michael is absolutely spot on this issue, because when you look at what exactly happened, City AM reported that Russia obviously tried to interfere with the Scottish referendum. Remainers aren't really talking about any of this because they don't really care about the facts of the report. They've been massively disappointed because they really hoped that their report could prove that Dominic Cummings or Nigel Farage or Boris Johnson were having secret meetings with these guys and, plotting something. That didn't really happen. The article talks about how Russia tried to split the UK in the 2014 referendum, however, Putin did not interfere with the 2016 Brexit vote. Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee's reports have concluded. They've said that the Scottish vote, that was the whole focus of the report because of the way Russia dealt with it. At the same time, there are other problems with the Russian interference. I know that a lot of people, because of the way the West have behaved over the past century, over the past few decades, sometimes some people try to actually defend Russia. You have to be skeptical towards everything and everyone. Question everything and everyone. So just because someone's bad doesn't mean the other person is definitely good. It is true, and the report talks about dodgy finances and dodgy Russian money. This is nothing new, because we've kind of known about this. It's just becoming more factual because of the reports that's been coming out, and they've been using, as Michael said, lobby firms or universities, academia, and partly the media with their oligarchs, and they've especially used London as a laundromat. And the connections that they've had, whether it was through property markets or other areas, has been proven. And we have to be obviously careful. I mean, nobody is saying that the West is completely innocent, or East is completely innocent. This is the world we live in. Big government is bad. Corruption exists everywhere. And the only thing and the only area that we should focus on is ordinary people and democracy. And make sure that, especially when it comes to things like Brexit, accept and do not undermine the democratic will of the people, but also try to protect your own country. When it comes to national security, people's livelihood, and it's important to know what's actually happening in this country. It's also important to know what the Western governments are doing other places as well. So it's not really a black and white situation. So don't just go with the West is always good, East is always bad, or East is always good, West is always bad. This is a bad way of looking at the geopolitical and the international affairs in general. But we have this. And speaking of Brexit, because we've been focusing on that a lot in this video, the next video that I'm going to release after this, later tonight, is actually about what's been happening in the European Union. As you have, if you have been following my videos the last few days, last week, I've been reporting on the EU summit to come up with a financial package to help the European countries. They've been clashing. Some countries aren't too happy about this, the way Germany and France have been leading the whole game. But last night, or early this morning, somehow the European Union, France and Germany, managed to force the fiscally conservative countries, Denmark, Austria and others, to accept that deal. So things aren't really looking good for European unity. They're pretending that, oh look, we finally agreed to the financial package, but at what cost? So make sure to tune in at 8 PM when I release that video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoy the content, become a member to support the channel by checking the link in the description, or just going on youtube.com/myitc/join, and I'll see you guys in the next video.